Prize picks for the first race of the 2023 NASCAR season. It is the Daytona 500. I'm Sniper from DFS Army, and let's go and find some winners. First NASCAR video of the season. I think it's a good opportunity before we do anything without talk about prize picks and the scoring. First of all, if you're not on prize picks, it's a prop style DFS site. Make sure you're on there. Use the code SNIPER when you deposit. You will get you get 100% deposit match up to $100 and 2 free months of the DFS Army prop subscription or 1 month of the VIP service. Your choice there to make that deposit go as far as it possibly can. With that, within DFS Army, you'll get all of our plays, not just the free ones we put out on the YouTube videos, which you should hit the subscribe button to make sure you get all of those. More plays, all sports, got value, all different ways there. So make sure you go and check it out in the Discord and tools to help you find your own plays when it comes to value. So NASCAR soaring on prize picks. First place is with 45 points, working our way down there. And similar to DFS sites, you get some points for your laps led, your fastest laps, and plus minus on the place differential. That's the fantasy scoring. Talk a little bit more about that in a second. You can go laps led. There's only 2 options for laps led and for fastest laps. And there's a handful more option for cars passed. One of these actually is going to be a play in this video. We talk about fantasy score for most of the drivers around 15th place, at least with Daytona, because Daytona, if you don't know, is a very, very high variance race. A lot of crashes, restrictor plate racing. Guys who are not going to be competitive all season are going to be competitive. So around, typically when I looked through the fantasy scores, everybody was a little bit different, but around 13th, 14th, 15th place, if that's where you finish, that's would be the midpoint for this fantasy score number. So one thing I am going to pull up here is DFS Army VIPs have access to a research station and some tools that really have historically been used on the DraftKings and FanDuel side. But you can kind of tweak those and look at track history, performances in super speedways, and leverage that to hopefully to find some good spots here. So that's a preview of what we're looking at here. I'll highlight some things as we move on. So this is within the VIP subscription. It's why DFS Army is so good in NASCAR on DraftKings and FanDuel. So the first play we're going to look at today is I want to look at Ricky Stenhouse. Ricky Crashy Stenhouse. Let's find him on PrizePicks real quick. Stenhouse. His fantasy score is 43.5. The reason why it's one of the higher ones out there, we highlight the Ricky Stenhouse line here, makes it a little bit easier to see. I tried to blow it as much as I could with the research station. Just a lot of numbers and data within here. Hopefully you guys can see it well. Ricky Stenhouse, if you look, he's starting, let's call it this right here, he's starting 31st. So he's got more potential for the place differential. That's why his fantasy score is a little bit higher. Looking at needing that 15th place finish, though, Ricky doesn't do it. Ricky crashes a lot throughout the whole season, not just at these high variance super speedway tracks. Last year, super speedways, 22nd, 31st. Like 22nd was his best finish. And at Daytona, he put up a 22nd and a 28th. His history at Daytona, he has not reached 13th place. He's reached it once in the last 5 years. He did win back here in 2017, but it's been a while. A lot of crashes. He's not finished above 20th at Daytona since it looks like the spring, the first race of the 2020 season. And you can go back even to the second race of the 18th season. That was 17th. That probably still won't get it done. So a lot of these lines are close and a lot of variance here. But Ricky's a guy who just historically has been way under the mark that he needs to get to. So when I line that over minus 120, which is the prize pick implied odds, I would. So Ricky Stenhouse, first play for us, under 43.5 for the fantasy score. All right, let's get a little bit more positive here. Let's talk about a driver I do like, which can be a little bit hard to do, but it's Bubba Wallace. 36.5 for the fantasy score is what we're looking at. Let's find Bubba Wallace here in the research station. So as a reminder, make sure you go to DFS Army, use the code SNIPER for 10% off a VIP membership, SNIPER20 for 20% off the props membership. Bubba Wallace, Bubba Wallace. I'm under pressure and I can't find him, of course. There he is. Good old Control F, guys. I'm sure people are looking at the screen just screaming. All right. Bubba Wallace, he's a little bit higher up because he's projected to do well. We need about a 13th place finish from him. He's starting 15th, which is a good spot in Daytona, in my opinion. History, super speedways, very consistent. 16, 11, 14, 17, 13. Second was last year. All great. 4 of the last 5 at Daytona. 11th place or better, including a 5th place finish. Even these 15s are going to be close. If he puts up those fast laps, he could still get over the fantasy score over. What I really like about Bubba Wallace in this spot, we come over to this column, it's the percentage of laps finished at super speedways, that's the hard thing at these tracks. You have to get through the carnage. Can you do it? He is finishing 95% of the laps in his race in the last 14 races, I believe it is, 100% of the time, and 100% of the laps, 79% of the time. He's not wrecking out, which is the big thing. Just to make sure if you're going to put somebody in over, you have to make sure they can make it to the end of the race. And Bubba Wallace has shown the ability to do that. I also pulled up some top 10 odds here. Bubba Wallace is plus 133 just to finish in the top 10. We need that 13th place finish. I think it's actually a little bit better than that. But he's the seventh favorite driver in terms of the odds to get to that top 10. We don't need him to get top 10. We need him to kiss that top 15 area, get a couple peripheral points, and we're right there. And I think he has upside to go even higher. I will like him on Sunday for sure. So Bubba Wallace over the 36.5 fantasy score on PrizePicks will be the second play. Third play, let's change it up a bit. Let's go to this cars passed on the net. I'm going to look up Christopher Bell, minus 9.5. Why do we like minus 9.5? Well, let's take a look at it here. Christopher Bell, he's starting, put him right at the top. He's starting 5th. And if you remember, scroll back over to it, the line is minus 9.5. So is he going to finish? Really, what this boils down to is over under for place finish 14.5. Is he going to finish 14th or higher? Well, let's look at Christopher Bell's history here. Doesn't look very good to me. 17, 36, 19. He's never done it. The one here, the second race in 2020, 13, just does not look good. He's starting up high. A lot of chance to run under. I just doesn't finish a ton. He's finished 100% of the laps, just 43% of the time. He only cracks the top 20, 43% of the time. This is a really good line. I think if you're putting it at 14.5, I think he's going to finish higher than that way more often than not. The history shows it. Sorry. I don't like him in this spot. So really, you want to play less, by the way. You think it's going to be more negative. It's going to be less than minus 9.5. More cars are going to pass him. So Christopher Bell, less than minus 9.5 cars passed in the net. All right, we need one more play for you guys. So let's go back to fantasy score. And it's Austin Cindric. I want to be back on the positive side one more time. 22.5 on the fantasy score. Let's find our boy Cindric. And you can you see what I'm looking here, just really strong history. In Daytona last year, a 1st and a 3rd. At all the super speedways last year, 4 of the 6 he finished inside the top 10. Another solid performance here in 21. Again, he needs to be around 15th place, and he finishes races. He's got the track history. He's got the super speedway finishes. Because Daytona is such a high variance race, this is probably my least favorite of the 4 plays, but I do think Austin Cindric will be inside the top 15 and make this 22.5 point fantasy score for the Daytona 500. So let's recap my plays for Sunday. Ricky Stenhouse, under 43.5 fantasy points. Bubba Wallace, over 36.5, or sorry, I should just say less than 43.5 on the fantasy score. Bubba Wallace, more than 36.5 fantasy score points. Christopher Bell, less the minus 9.5 cars passed in the net, and Austin Cindric more than 22.5 fantasy points. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to make this play. I'm also one of my favorite 2 plays for my 2-pack play of the day. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to probably rock out. I like the unders here. I'm going to bet on anything at Daytona. It's going to be chaos. So Stenhouse and Bell, as long as those 2 hit, I'll have it a profitable day with these picks. More picks and plays are within DFS Army. So again, make sure you go check that out. Code SNIPER20 for the props membership. If you're not on PrizePicks, get there. Use Sniper for that code as well. Free money. Hit the subscribe button. I hope you guys enjoyed the video and the picks. Good luck in your contest, whether you're a DFS Army member or not. But as always, a reminder that you probably should be. I'll see you next time, guys. Good luck.